What's up, y'all?
What's up? What's up? Welcome back. Ooh, I can't get my thing right. Dope Sports here. We are so glad to be back. You got Sadell, Nicole, the Lioness, and
Carlita Nicole, the quirky queen herself, Chi-Town, born and bred, Texas fed. What's up, y'all?
what's going on?
Yes, a lot in the world of sports, Sadell. So much. And so, because this week my Dallas Cowboys won a game against the Houston Texans, and people still don't want to give us our credit because of the way that we won. This is what I got to say to the haters.
Well, yeah. So check this out. This is what I was thinking. If we had a committee like they do in the college football playoffs, the Cowboys would have dropped some in their rankings because of that game.
If that was the case in the NFL, but that's not the case in the NFL.
No, I mean, I was saying a win is a win. I do agree.
Yes.
I agree, but we act like we didn't know we had a game. So, but
not the whole game though. So, okay. So we didn't play a great game, y'all. Dak threw 24 of 39, 284 yards, which the yardage is not bad at all, but a touchdown and 2 interceptions, which put him at 9 interceptions in his last 8 active games, which we're going to get to that in a minute. Hey, chill down. I ain't even finished with the whole review. There you go. So anyway, this game, Zeke and Pollard, the numbers were not there like it's been in the last few weeks. They combined for about 100 yards total. This is the thing. Our receivers, I can't even say like they struggled because they did all right. However, like CeeDee Lamb is our number one receiver. He got 33 yards. Michael Gallup got more yards. Noah Brown got 85 yards. Dalton Schultz had the most at 87. And so when you think about that, it's like, what is going on with the receiving core? And we just got another receiver, Washington.
T.Y.
Excuse me?
Who did you say?
Is it Washington?
Are we getting T.Y. Hilton?
We him too. We just got him this week. I'm talking about for the last game. But we did just get T.Y. Hilton. You're absolutely right. But even then, as a veteran, T.Y. like I'm not exactly sure what we're gonna do with our receiving core because we do have great receivers. However, we don't have great separation and we don't have great big plays. And is it the receivers or is it Dak and his arm? Now, he had 39 passes.
Say that last thing you just said again. Was that a question? I'm not being funny. I just did not understand what you said.
Y'all know she's being funny. Listen, 11 of his passes were tipped on offense. 11 of the 39 passes were tipped. So that tells me, for one, that those passes are a little bit low. So that's that. We had 0 sacks on defense, like none. So like they just took out our whole pass rush situation by letting their QB like get rid of the ball super fast. And then it's also we did also have this muffed punt return with Turpin, which Kavontae Turpin has been exceptional since he started, and this was his worst game. That muffed punt return really kind of started like the decline in this game for us, but we were able to come back at the end of the game. It was not over. They thought it was over, but it wasn't. And what happened? Our defense, let me tell y'all, our defense showed up. So it wasn't like they were non-existent. The Texans had 4 chances to go 4 yards at the end of the fourth quarter in the final 4th minute. 4 minutes in that. Anyway, that's so corny. But y'all, they went 4 and out, like at the at the goal line. They went for an out. So our defense still showed up like how our defense was supposed to. After we got the ball back, we went 98 yards in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. 98 yards. We scored a touchdown. Zeke got it in the end zone. Boom. We in that thing. We got that win, and all is well. Kind of, sort of, but not really. So, like Sadell, like perked up about, I did mention, is it the receivers or is it Dak? Clearly, for the last 3 games, we have seen our receivers off balance, off key, off something with Dak. And it's not all of his passes because there are some spot on passes. However, like I said, 11 of the 39 were tipped this week, which does tell me at the very least the passes are a little bit low. But what else does that say about our team offensively as far as our passing game? Go ahead, Sadell, because I
No. I guess so. My thing is there were some passes that were spot on that were kind of muffed. I think my thing is the last couple of weeks they haven't been like, they've been behind. Like Amari Cooper, and to be honest, to me, Michael Gallup, now that he's starting to get back in his groove, probably does the best job of the receivers of being able to adjust and get the balls. I mean, if he hits CD, and it may be because CD, when he's running, like he's going so fast, it's hard. Like it's hard to be going one way and then have to reach back when you're going full speed the other way and try and catch anything. And so that does happen. So I feel like it's a combination of both are out of sync. But I think my biggest thing in this is when you're listening to them talk about the game, they're basically like, hey, a win is a win. We found a way to come out and do it. We found a way to march down these last 3 minutes of the game and, pad my stats and make sure that we were able. I mean, I'm just saying, it almost seemed like, even when Jerry Jones was talking about it, it almost seemed like he was like, yeah, we really kind of like being in these situations because we know that, Dak is going to come back in and do whatever. My thing is, why not just say, hey, we sucked. We didn't play a good game. We didn't play a good game. And we got to do better. We got out through with this, by the skin of our teeth, and we got the win, but we got to make some adjustments, and we can't start like that. Like that never happens. It never comes out and says, hey, my bad. Like I got to do better. We should have done such and such. And
what?
And
okay.
I'm sorry. What?
No. Okay. Yes, Jerry Jones did absolutely come out the gates and was like, hey, a win is a win. We won, and totally like didn't even want to hear about all the negative things that we did in the game. Yes, that is true. However, that ain't true when it comes to Dak and the accountability of the team. Dak legit came on and said, I have to do better at taking care of the ball. I have to. So he didn't point the finger and said it's him, them, whatever.
I didn't say he was pointing the finger, but I'm just saying in general for the game, like it was a poorly, the game was just not played well. And it just seemed like we're just glossing over that. Like we still got the win. We found a way to fight back. And then the thing is, he said, they were talking about, who were they saying? I think it was maybe Zach Martin. And they were saying that Zach Martin came to the huddle smiling because, we're going to go win this game. You know what I'm saying? And so I do get that, and I do appreciate that. Like, they're like, okay, we got 2 minutes left. We know we're going to win this game. So I do appreciate that. It was kind of, like I said, if there was a committee, we would have lost. We would have went down in our rankings.
So yes. I don't, Jerry.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm sorry. And this is Ant's thing. So this is another thing that I do agree with. Any kind of mobile QB and any team, to be honest, with a decent run game, it neutralizes us. And I feel a big part of that is because they move Micah around so much that he almost becomes ineffective whenever they are in doing any kind of running, whenever there's any true mobility, whether it's from the QB or from the running back, they neutralize Micah, which in essence neutralizes our defense, because he's a big catalyst as far as getting that going. And we got to figure out a way to fix that, because whoever we play, I mean, I'm torn. I don't know who I would like to see in the playoffs, whether it be the 49ers or the Eagles. Like, I really don't know.
We're not going to see the Eagles in the first round regardless.
I'm concerned about either of those teams.
Who is this hater on our feed?
Coach Ingram. Coach Ingram.
Don't bring.
I thought we had a conversation about this. I thought we talked about this earlier.
For the haters, Coach.
I thought we talked about this. I forgot to text Kellum. I need to reach out. Let me do that right now while we on the air, because we're gonna have to have this conversation.
So okay, so I recognize, yes, we absolutely did not play a great game. I've said that plenty of times. However, when it came down to it and we needed to win this game, we were able to rally together and win the game. I did see at the beginning of the game, it seemed like Dak kind of, I'm trying to think of the right word, but it was almost as if he was in the pocket and watching the pocket collapse on him and just trying to get the ball out of his hands, and wasn't making good decisions throughout the game. I'm not saying that for each pass, but some of the passes were like that. And that is attributed to our offensive line, who, when healthy, and when we have, like when Tyron Smith comes back, Dak performs the best when our offensive line is healthy. We know that. And we know that he needs that time in the pocket in order to read the defense, in order to see where to throw the ball, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know what's going to happen if our offensive line doesn't get healthy and stay healthy, but ideally that would happen, and we won't have an issue going into the playoffs with that part. However, we got to figure out a way to win, even if that's not the case.
I feel like, to be honest, they kind of use the term sleepwalking. I feel like we slept on this team and thinking that it was just going to be easy. And I just feel like we as a team did not come out prepared the way we needed to be. And to be, okay, yeah. And honestly, who is Ron? Come on now. Ron talking about y'all one and done. The hate is so real. But Ron, I like our odds against Tampa Bay. I feel like we can definitely stop them, and I don't know that they can stop us. So I like our odds against Tampa Bay. So I'll take that.
Right.
I agree, Link. A win is a win.
Yes, absolutely.
A win is a win.
Even then, like I said, yes, we did not play well in this game. However, at this point in the season, I do feel like this was a great wake-up call. And I think Jerry Jones kind of hinted to that as well. Because if there is a time for somebody to expose us that we still have an opportunity to beat, like the Houston Texans, it's this time. So then that way, if our coaches do what coaches are supposed to do, then you rally together, you look at the film, you figure out, okay, well, these are the spots in which we are weak. These are the ways that we can progress in those areas. And then when we come out and we play Jacksonville, and goodness gracious, when we play the daggone Philadelphia Eagles, then we will have improved in those areas in which we are weak. And then we don't have to worry about, well, is Dallas ready? Is Dallas the team to beat? Is Dallas a playoff-bound team? Yes, we are. And we had a bad game. And even in our bad game, we found a way to win. So, hey.
I do. I mean, so I think if we win this week, which, Lord Jesus, surely we will, then we will clinch a playoff spot, right? The Eagles have already clinched theirs.
I'm not sleeping on any team at this point in the season, even with Jacksonville, with Trevor Lawrence and Zay Jones got like over 100 yards receiving last week, and he coming off of an injury, so
Wow.
I'm not
I mean, and that's the
seeing
thing
games
for
from him.
us is we keep having to move people around and put them into positions like to band-aid injuries. And I think that's probably I mean, case in point, even in high school football, that's what we were just talking about. This season is so long to be doing what you're doing, right? Um, exactly. The offensive line secondary is getting very banged up.
Yes.
But after you played so many games, and that's what they were saying about TY is that he may be in better condition because he hasn't had to go through camp. He hasn't been beat up the whole season.
Right.
Like all we need him to give us is a good 6 games, right? And if he can give us that, then he may be able to help. I mean, usually his biggest thing is he's been fast, and so I don't feel like he's lost that much because there are people his age that are still have speed. Speed is so I feel, at least I hope he can come in. I don't think we're expecting him to shut up, Ron.
I cannot
I don't think
stand
we're
LeBron.
expecting him to be a number one receiver, but I do feel like he can come in and contribute.
Okay, so Link said for those who say that this is a blueprint to beat the Cowboys, ponder this. Well, why doesn't everybody do what the Eagles or the Chiefs do? Because you need the personnel to do that, and most teams don't.
Most teams don't have the personnel.
Most teams, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't feel like they exposed us at all. We know what our weakness is. Our run defense is a major weakness, and that's not even, we know that. So I don't feel like they exposed anything. I mean, that's an issue we had. I just feel like we weren't, up and ready to play. But as far as that, we know against Mahomes and against the Eagles, Jalen, like it's we have problems with that. We know that. We don't tackle well.
We
We
have
don't
to put Micah in a position during that Eagles game where he can get to Jalen Hurts, and if we're able to neutralize Jalen Hurts and their run game, because we cannot let the Eagles run 150 yards on us and think that we're going to win that game.
Yeah, well, and then that also goes to our secondary because Jalen Hurts does a good job of throwing the ball. he does both. So I mean,
it's so annoying.
And my thing is, a lot of times when we're playing those run teams, we're putting Mike in a linebacker position. He is super fast. And so sometimes they'll bait him in and then, they may do a screen or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And so he gets, again, neutralized. Or they just, if we put him on the line, they just go opposite of where he is. I mean, and so, which is smart, which is what I would do as well, but so that I think is a big thing we got to fix. I don't feel like they exposed anything. I mean, we know what it is. We know what our issues are.
So, okay.
Oh, Coach Paul, come on.
Yeah, what are with the Eagles fans? Fegels.
Come on, Coach Paul.
Okay, so we have to go through these few games real quick. First of all, the Bengals beat the Browns 23-10. This was Deshaun Watson's second game back. He threw for 276 yards, but he was 26 of 42, so still rusty. But he was able to get the ball to Donovan Peoples-Jones, and he ended up with 114 yards. So even then, Deshaun Watson's not having great games, but his numbers don't, well, his completion doesn't look too good, but his passing yards don't look too bad either. And just even in that game, like this is how crazy statistics are. The Bengals won 23-10, but Joe Burrow threw for less yards than Deshaun Watson, and they had Jamar Chase with 119 yards. So they were still able to get yardage, and Joe Mixon came back too this week and was able to, he didn't get 100 yards, he was still up there. So as far as Deshaun Watson, like he's being comparable as far as his passing yards and stuff are goes, but I think in the next few weeks we'll watch and see if he progresses, if he gets more in sync with his receivers. We'll see how that goes in Cleveland. The 49ers whooped the brakes off of the daggone Bucks. Okay. Tom Brady had a horrific game. 34-55, y'all. Like he had a touchdown, 2 interceptions. Offensively, they couldn't get anything going in the run game or the pass game, right? But that daggone Brock Purdy is no longer Mr. Irrelevant, okay? He has proved that he deserves his spot as the starting QB in San Francisco. Purdy went 16-21, so he didn't even throw the ball that much, but he got 185 yards and 2 touchdowns. Of course, they got Christian McCaffrey. He had 119 yards, y'all. All I'm gonna say is Jimmy G is the backup quarterback, and the 49ers got offense
the backup
of the ball. Brock Purdy, the third string quarterback. Do I believe that the 49ers can still make it a deep playoff run with Brock Purdy? Yes, because I'm realizing, like many of you have as well, that the daggone San Francisco 49ers, their offensive scheme works great for almost any daggone QB.
It's plug and play. It's plug and play. Yeah.
And it works, and they don't have Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel just tore his ACL and something else. So yes, they'll have to worry about Deebo Samuel, but you still got a plethora of people running the ball, catching passes. So I think San Francisco could still do very well, even with the third string Mr. Irrelevant. And lastly, y'all, this game was bananas to me. The Lions versus the Vikings. Why? Because offensively, the daggone Vikings, number 2 in the league when it comes to their record and stuff, the Vikings have been exploding offensively. But this divisional game, y'all know divisional games can go either way, no matter how good or how bad a team is, right? So when they played each other, let me tell you, Jared Goff threw for 330 yards. That's dumb. But Kirk Cousins threw for 425 yards. Like, this is ridiculous. And it's crazy to me that the Lions were projected to win this game, and they did. And I was like, how? Because the Lions, y'all, they got DJ Shark. They got St. Brown. I got him on one of my fantasy teams. Reynolds is back. And then, of course, they got a bunch of running backs as well. But y'all, even with that, like, how there's no way that the Vikings should lose if one person on your team has over 200 daggone yards. There is no reason you should be losing a game. Justin Jefferson got 223 yards by himself. So understand, that is bananas. That is crazy. And even though Minnesota is the best team in their divisions, I'm telling y'all, watch out for the daggone Detroit Lions, because they are not the Detroit Lions of old.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the Lions of old is kind of what has everybody kind of, brushing them off, but they have been sneaking up. I mean, they're young and they have a lot of weapons, and people kind of overlook them for one because they ain't never really won anything. When they thought they were going to win with Megatron, then all that kind of fell apart. But they are making a run. Ron says Dak is not the one.
I'm just showing the comments because we have a lot. I don't even.
So this is another thing. So Link says offense and defense need the full teams as well. Do you remember in Dak's press conference, he said that they basically came out with, they disguised some of their schemes, and it was kind of throwing him off a little bit. And that I think also was another thing that happened and that kind of threw us out of sync because they disguised them. And then at the last minute, they were moving to a different type of coverage. And so, but anyway, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
It is.
I think San Francisco, like you said, still has a way to be a contender. And Debo, they said, will be back in 3 weeks. I think I saw someone say that, but they did say he would be back in about 3 weeks. So that also makes him a little bit more dangerous as well.
Right. Yeah, Brady scared Brady. 45 playing QB against 400-pound dudes. Heck yeah, I don't want to get hit.
No, but think about Brady, this divorce thing, like he's not been Tom Brady, what I'm saying? And now his wife or ex-wife is stepping out and doing red carpet events and all this stuff. I mean, mentally, he's just not Tom Brady.
Right. Yeah, boy, y'all really in these comments. I hope you guys can see these. LeBron says, not really. The Lions have been upsetting people all year, and they got young guys that can fly. I've said that, though, all year to watch, because offensively, and playing fantasy football definitely helps you see, who's performing and who's not.
Yeah.
I see that, on a weekly basis. But yeah, oh, wow. Barron says the San Francisco is one and done. I don't know, because is Jimmy G coming back or Trey Lance? One of them is coming back for the playoffs, right?
I don't know. I haven't heard that.
All of my the San Francisco fans, I don't see them right now. But if they do, regardless of who they have at quarterback, whether it's the first string, the second string, or the third string QB, everybody needs to be worried about San Francisco.
The scheme just kind of works. It
does.
Kind of works.
But, it really does. Okay. It's 8:30. We have so much other sports news and stuff to talk about. So, Sidell, what you got?
So, the thing I really want to start with, because I don't want to forget to mention, is the local sports stuff. So, those South Oak Cliff Golden Bears are trying to repeat for a back-to-back state championship. And I'm so proud of these dudes because this is epic. First of all, just winning it, right? And everybody doesn't expect an inner city school to be able to win. They're going to say they're undisciplined. They can't handle it. And so when they won last year, it was epic. But to be in a position, even now, just being able to compete for it a second time is historic. And I just, I think it helps people to understand that the coaching, the accountability, and the dedication. And I'm not kidding. Last year, these dudes won. That very next weekend, they were back at the school, going over film, starting to get ready for this year. And so there's a lot of dedication that has happened with that. So they'll be going Friday at 7:00. So if you're free, go out, get your tickets. It's a blackout. So everybody's wearing black, and we're trying to pack the stadium. 60,000 is going to be filled all the way up. So get your tickets now. And then on Saturday, you got DeSoto at 3:00 against Vandergrift. And then you got Duncanville against North Shore. Now, this Duncanville thing against North Shore, this is their fourth time meeting. The first time was in 2018. And Duncanville was up, and North Shore threw a Hail Mary at the buzzer and ended up winning that game. And that was a heartbreaker. The very next year, they played again and lost. And then last year, they played again and lost. Mm-hmm. So Saturday night is chapter 4. And we're seeing what's going to happen with this. But North Shore is like 15-0. Duncanville is 14-0. And it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. So go out and cheer for these teams. Like, we have 3 local teams within a 10-mile radius of each other that are going to be playing for state championships. Also want to give a shout out to Jonte Cook, who's a receiver at DeSoto. He was one of the top 5 finalists for the Landry Award, which recognizes the top high school football player in North Texas. And so I wanted to get all that out before we forget, because we'll start going on to other stuff. All right. Carlita, you're coming out Saturday.
I might. We don't know. I don't know just yet, Grady. So if I do, then I'll definitely let you know.
Okay, so let's talk about this Brittany Griner thing.
Please, let's do.
So there's been so much talk. So first of all, I'm just glad she's out. I'm glad and thankful that she's home. And it's so weird though. I mean, the trade had to be the mercenary of death. I mean, like this dude is an arms dealer. It just seems, and so there's been a little bit, and I wouldn't even say. Link says he's sorry to see that Geyer got knocked out. Geyer's QB is the one who actually won the Landry Award. He's like one of the top players in the nation. So he was also one of the finalists, but the Geyer QB is the one who actually won the Landry Award. But anyway, the thing, there's been, and I wouldn't say backlash, but what I would say is there's been comments made because there's a Marine, Paul Whelan, who's been there for 4 years. And so the fact that they let Brittany out and not him for this arms dealer, which Ron says that America got finessed. I mean, I think that we were just so desperate to bring somebody home because there's been so much outcry and so much stuff that's going on. But yeah, he is a Sooner now. I mean, everyone thought that was going to be a better game. DeSoto just, and initially, to be honest, the talk was that Denton Geyer was going to go in and DeSoto wasn't going to be able to handle him. But, that's not what happened. But he is great, and he is a Sooner now, or about to be very soon. The Marine was, and I didn't, so there's a lot of talk. They're saying that he was dishonorably just discharged, but he told his story, and he's saying that whatever happened, he was alleged in some intelligence operation, but he says it's not true. And he's been in there since 2018. And, they're saying that maybe he should have been able to come back. Like they're saying his crime is espionage, which Russia, of course, looked at very differently than Brittany Griner's. But the fact that it was definitely not an even trade. The fact that Brittany had a freaking vape pen versus a weapons and arms dealer, so espionage versus that. So, they were trying to make it a 2-for-1. And that's also the other thing that Paul Whelan said is that he thought, and he was told that the talks were underway to get him out. So he thought everything was progressing. And he was disappointed when he found out that he wasn't going home too. So he was like, my bags are packed. Like I thought I was leaving. His family, though, has been very gracious. And of course, we're happy that Brittany got home. We still want our got home.
Of course.
But Brittany Griner is just like, she was like, I have so many emotions right now. Well, that's a bit much. She's like, I had so many emotions right now. But more than anything, I'm just appreciative. And
I understand that.
And it is a crazy thing because there's been a lot of negative talk, even to the point Micah Parsons had posted something on Twitter. And was basically like, nah, how we leave the Marine, And so people started going back against him because he had also posted on Biden's tweet
about we still not vote with you. Yeah.
Everybody was like, so who are you? Are you a Trump supporter? Like, what do you got going on? So he apologized and, started backpedaling. So, it's been a crazy whirlwind. I think that because the stuff with Brittany Griner was so public and there was a lot of outcry because they're like, okay, she had CBD, blah, blah, blah. Like, does she deserve to go to prison for that? So I think instead of using whatever other means to get her out and then the trade be between the Marine maybe and the weapons dealer, because those are crimes. But, and I'm not saying what Brittany did wasn't a crime. I mean, it was clearly, but yeah, like Ling said, we didn't have any spots to trade, so it just kind of threw everything off. But she is home and she's happy, and I don't know that all is going to fade away. But I, prior to this, had not heard of Paul Whelan.
Absolutely. I hadn't either. So there's a couple of things. So Charles said that I should have vetoed the trade between Russia and USA. Listen, Charles is a part of the Dope Sports Chicks Fantasy Football League, and the quirky commish me did veto one of his trades. So that's what that's about. But
That's funny.
um
Why?
I because it was just an unfair trade, and then like when I saw it, I was like, this makes no sense. It was really unfair, and then I vetoed it, and then come to find out, the guy he was trading with had no clue that it was a bad trade.
Oh,
He didn't see. He was trying to trade Travis Etienne for like some third string running back, and Travis Etienne was like trending upwards. So I was
right.
like, bro, he gets like over 100 yards a week, and you about to trade him for a third anyway. But as far as the Brittany Griner stuff is concerned, this is one of the things that I did just want to think about for all of us. Like, think about this being 50 years ago. Not even 50 years ago. Think about this being 30 years ago. The US trading for a black woman, an openly gay black woman who has a wife, over this vape pen, and trading for her over this Marine, regardless that he was dishonorably discharged or anything, he's still a Marine, right? Imagine this being 30 years ago and somebody telling you that. It sounds crazy, idiotic. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like it's unbelievable, like this is something that's made up, and it's not. It's real life, and it's happening like right before our eyes. Like, we're literally watching history unfold, things that we've never seen before. And there are people who are angry that we played our hand this way for the likes of a Brittany Griner. However, for as far as I'm concerned, like, I am glad that she's back. I do want our Marine Paul Whelan to come back to his family as well. Um the situation overall is just an unfortunate situation, and we do know this is a preventable situation when you go overseas. In some countries the laws are a lot more strict than other countries, and all of us should be aware of that when traveling internationally, especially now. But I do hope that Brittany Griner learns from this and she becomes an advocate for people from here on out. And I don't know if she's going to go back to playing basketball right now. Maybe she will after
They
she
said
gets.
she's already been. They said she's already started
Well, I'm saying
training.
with her team.
Right.
I know she's been playing ball, but I'm saying just practicing with the team. I would love to see her get back on the court. I would absolutely love that, but I also understand she's just been through quite a bit of trauma. So I would back up and give her some time and give her some space, but I really would love to see her advocate for others in situations like this, because she's not the only one. And then I'm also curious, Sadell, as to how that's going, her situation, how that's going to affect WNBA players going forward, as far as playing overseas. Because you guys know we've talked about the disparities in pay when it comes to the WNBA and the NBA as far as their salaries go. And she was overseas because the WNBA does not pay as well as the NBA. So now there's talks of, will those things happen? Will WNBA players still want to play overseas, especially in countries where the laws are much more strict? Will the NBA be able to, or the WNBA be able to create other programs, some sponsorships, something to where these ladies will be able to pocket more money here to keep them from having to go overseas? So there's a lot of different things coming into into conversations from this Brittany Griner stuff. And so I'll be keeping my ears to the door, like listening to see what's popping. But I am just curious to see how she's gonna move going forward.
Yeah, and then and it's kind of a double-edged sword because I feel like to me we didn't have good negotiators. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, to have to, because I agree, Link, because we had to get her home. Like we had to get her home. We had to get her home because there was so much outcry.
Yes.
Because it was like she got this harsh prison sentence
9
for a minor
years.
crime. And I'm not saying it's not a crime, but a very harsh prison sentence. So there's so many people who are going to be watching her every move.
Absolutely.
So now you've come and then, and I agree. So they make this much money. I don't know that that's going to be an immediate fix. I don't know that the WNBA can immediately start paying them enough money to make them not want to or not need to even go overseas.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most American Black woman has ever been valued. Michael Vick did. Yeah, I agree.
Give more time for fighting, for dog fighting, than some athletes and other celebrities have for atrocities against Black women. Yes, absolutely.
And so my thing is, okay, so now you have this guy, and he's dishonorably discharged,
right?
Espionage, whatever it is that he actually did, and we don't know because he's saying that he didn't do it, and he's saying that it didn't happen. So we don't exactly know what happened with that. But my thing is, I don't feel like we did a good job of negotiating because the severity of the crime of the mercenary of death versus a vape pen, it doesn't add up.
You're absolutely.
But I agree with Link. Had they not brought her home, then it would have just been worse. So it was just
right.
It was just a major political move that had to be done. You know what I'm saying? Like he was in a position where he had to be able to be in talks and bring it. I mean, there are some NBA players who go home and play like with their home country every once in a while, but that's just honoring their country, not because they have to, not because they need to. But from a WNBA perspective, they don't make enough money. And let me not say enough. They don't make the money that they make overseas playing in the WNBA.
And then the sponsorships and stuff are not there as well. Hey to everybody that just joined in, David, Jermaine, Sean, Charles.
What I'm hoping though is I'm hoping that, Brittany was saying she wants to tell her story. So I mean, I hope that, something positive comes from this in some way. And I hope she keeps her nose clean. I hope that, it just can turn into something positive because I guarantee the minute she does something that is not becoming, the minute she does something, there's going to be talks because they're going to be watching her like paparazzi forever because of this incident.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's just what it is. But you guys know that we will keep you posted with the latest news on that as well.
And then the same thing, I mean, segue into that, the thing with Dion, so they've been talking about him and how he's gone and he's leaving. And I do get it because they were saying how he made this great big speech, God, I could have gone anywhere, but God brought me to Jackson State. And Brittany is going to get, she probably will get paid for interviews
and a book too.
And I mean, there'll probably be a number of, but I'm just hoping that it comes out positive for her.
Absolutely.
And the same thing with Dion, as much backlash as he's getting right now for making a decision that he felt was best for him, his family, his children. I do get it. Now, on the other end, so there's a note, like he brought 5 HBCU coaches with him. He took 2 coaches from Jackson State with him. He took Vince Dancy from Mississippi Valley State, the head coach. He took him over with him, and he took a couple of coaches from Florida Atlantic. So
Yep.
he's pulled in like 5 HBCU coaches to
Yep.
go with him and be on staff. So think about this. The average salary for an assistant coach at an HBCU
Is what?
is $25,000. It's $25,000. And I'm not being funny. And I'm just saying, even as a high school coach, you put hours in practice, in games, in watching film, in taking kids home, in making sure kids have food, in counseling. Like, there's $25,000 is what they're making at these schools. Granted, one of them was a head coach at Mississippi Valley.
But he still was not making.
He was not. Now,
PWI head coaching
at Colorado, they are poised to make about $350,000 a year. So the last budget for the head coaches, for the assistants, so there's a pool of money for assistant coaches at most PWIs. And so at Colorado, they have a pool of like 3.5 million. They had 10 assistant coaches. So that puts them in position to make. And granted, some will make more and some will make less, but they gonna make 10 times what they were making at other schools. And so, it's not like he's still not trying to help. Now, the complaint is, now he taking a head coach. Now they got to go find somebody. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you can't win. And at the end of the day, even though you trying to do what's best for you and your family, and ultimately, if he goes to this position and he brings a few with him, maybe he'll have an opportunity to go to the NFL and bring a few more with him. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like he's just like, I got mine and I'm on it. So Link says there should be other coaches in the pipeline to fill the void in the HBC coaching ranks. How about those former NFL players and coaches who can afford to take those positions?
Yes.
But will they? Because as much as people are complaining about Dion going where he's going, who's going to be willing to do what he did at the salary that he was receiving?
Well, so even then, this is how I look at that, because I worked at an HBCU. Budgeting is an issue at a lot of HBCUs, right? And HBCUs oftentimes do not have the same type of boosters and sponsorships and stuff that these big, huge schools
not even often. They just don't have, period.
They don't have those things. So basically, as far as all of that is, one of the things that I was conversing with someone about this week was this, where Dion was taking these coaches from the HBCUs to Colorado with him, and people are like going crazy, like, why would he do that? He's leaving these HBCUs without coaches. Do y'all know how many coaches there are, like good coaches who would do well in some of these programs, that people won't give them a chance? Right. Why? Because their name isn't Deion Sanders. Why? Because they're not a former NFL player. If the HBCUs want to make some progress, they can't wait for the next big NFL player to come and do what Deion did at Jackson State. Some of these colleges are going to have to take some names that did not play in the NFL. You're going to have to take some names that people don't know. But you work your program and find other ways to get sponsorships, find other ways, like even get some of the alum. Find somebody that's willing to sponsor your program so that people can see what you're doing. Call these other big schools and say, hey, can we play y'all during this week next season? That's what you do. And I know oftentimes these coaches don't want to do those things. Why? Because they're getting paid $25,000. I don't have the time nor the energy. But if that's what you want for your program, at some point, these HBCUs are going to have to either give up something to get what they want, or change how they're the money that's coming in. Like, you're gonna have to get it from somewhere in order for your programs to get better. And it's frustrating because it's like Deion Sanders is not the only daggone coach that there is. He has the name, he has the persona, he has all of the fandom and the celebrity that goes along with it. And sure, that brings a lot of notoriety to your program. But y'all got to go out and find somebody else that's going to do that, but maybe on a different level. But you can't expect every HBCU to have a Deion Sanders and then get pissed off when he leaves.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is, it really, as much as people are complaining about it, he's, like you said, he's giving people opportunities that they would never otherwise have.
Yes.
Do you think that Colorado would have brought the coach from Mississippi Valley to coach on their staff? Do you think they would have interviewed him? Do you think they would have reached out to him?
No.
And do you think they would have even given him the opportunity if he reached out to them? They would not have, more than likely. So I'm just saying, even with that, he does give back. And Link says there's Black billionaires and millionaires who could pour into these institutions, but they rather bask in their wealth. I mean, that's the way of the world. I mean, at the end of the day, there's poor people when, people are, going around and living and, throwing food away. But anyway, I just feel like we choose to focus on the negatives a lot.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I do get that, Baron. I do remember him saying that, but I'm saying I wouldn't rule that out, because if the opportunity came and he had that opportunity after his kids graduated, I don't know that he would say no. And I'm not saying it's just not about the money, but to be able to coach at that level and have that opportunity, I don't know that he would not accept that.
Right.
But the last thing, we got 5 minutes. So the last thing I wanted to bring up, also I want to say RIP to Mike Leach. Yes. He died earlier this week. He had a massive heart attack, and it was just it was just crazy. It was crazy. And they had made a statement that he was initially, they made a statement that he initially had, this medical issue, and he never came back home.
Yeah. I saw that he had a heart attack and was in critical condition.
Right.
And like the next thing, he had passed away.
Yeah.
And it was so abrupt.
Yeah.
You could imagine what that does to a program in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
So my heart goes out to him, his family, the program, the students, players, everyone.
Yeah. And so, I mean, Baron says he won't. I mean, I don't know him personally. I don't know if he will or will not, but I don't know that we can say that he won't, because
about Deion going.
Yeah, they said he wouldn't leave Jackson State. So I mean, you never know. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was this Chris Beard thing. So Chris Beard, the head coach at the University of Texas, the men's basketball coach at the University of Texas, was arrested on assault charges, domestic assault, actually. And it's crazy because so the initial report says that he bit, choked, slammed, and hit his fiance that they had been living together and sharing a home. And she said he just snapped and got really violent, and she feared for her safety. Like, she was afraid that he choked her and impeded her breathing for like 5 seconds. Now, most domestic violence cases are misdemeanors, but this one is a felony because of the impeding of the breathing. And so he was arrested. There's this big report. The University of Texas comes out and says, we do not support domestic violence. He's been suspended without pay and indefinitely. So it didn't say he was fired. It says he was suspended indefinitely without pay, blah, blah, blah. Shortly after that, his attorney comes out and says, this is absolutely false.
Well,
My
yep.
client is 100% innocent.
Yeah.
And the person they're saying is the accuser wants him released from jail right now. And she's saying that none of this even happened. So the crazy thing is there's police reports
Yes.
and there's statements showing that this is what she said. Apparently they took pictures and she had bite marks on her. But the thing is, domestic violence is a tricky thing, right?
Yeah.
And so they interviewed a couple of attorneys who were saying that, first of all, 99% of domestic violence cases, there's a large percentage of them that get dropped because either the person decides they don't want to go through with it. And so they were saying, well, the DA has all the information, they can decide to go forward. The DA, a lot of times in those instances, don't move forward because the witness doesn't want to testify.
Right.
And so it makes it harder. The crazy thing is, how is he going to go back to this team and coach, right? Because it's something happened. We know that something happened. We know that there was a charge. And they said that he's in Texas, it's over, the stigma will stick with him. So you can say that, Ron, but then you go back to issues that have happened in the past that kind of, went under the rug. It'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out. Right. And so they did say, he said he had audio to prove that she was the one who was being aggressive, but it didn't say that he couldn't. It says he wouldn't. Like he said, I have audio that shows this and that you can tell that she was the aggressor, and they asked him to produce it and he would not. And so we'll see what happens with this. It's unfortunate because Texas comes out, they're 7-1. They're moving. They have a good thing going. And now, exactly, we are all one bad decision away from ruining our lives. And it just takes one. Yeah. So this is going to be an ongoing thing, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And like they were saying, sometimes people who are in these situations, they drop charges because maybe she's like, this is our only source of income. Yeah. So if he loses his job, what are we going to do? Or maybe, I'm afraid for my life. What is he going to do if he does? Right. You know what I'm saying? So there's just so many odds and ends. And Charles says he'll get fired and coach at some low budget school and be back coaching at a big time university at some point.
Maybe.
Now, I agree, Baron. It definitely doesn't give you the right to put your hands on. I mean, male or female, it doesn't give you the right. Like, I'm not saying that the violence is okay. I'm saying I don't know that he's going to be punished for it the way that everyone is thinking that it's going to go. So we just have to wait and see how it plays off. Now, he needs to be beat up if that's what he did. Like, I agree with that. Like, I don't, male or female, I don't think you have the right to put your hands on somebody, period. Like, just leave or let them leave, because she said that all of a sudden he just went wild and crazy and got violent and started choking her for like 5 seconds. She couldn't breathe. And that's when she started calling 911. Like, she felt like she was in danger.
Right.
Surely she didn't just make that story up and call. Stranger things have happened, but surely that's not what happened. And then now she's backing it out. And that's what some people are saying. She was just drunk and mad at him. So, I mean, who knows? But if there's audio that he has, then I feel like that should have been produced by now.
Yeah, absolutely. This is another situation where I feel bad for the student athletes involved, because this is something that was out of their control. It's just an unfortunate situation. And Charles says everyone needs to keep their hands to themselves, get up and leave before it gets to that point. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've got to get ready to get out of here.
Yeah. So we will keep you guys updated. And Baron, he's very disciplinary. And so people who are very disciplinary are usually very controlling. Charles says he's waiting on his apology.
I don't know what he want no daggone apology for.
He said that your league is you're supposed to be the commissioner, not the babysitter. Did you see that comment?
No, I didn't.
He said something about like you're not the babysitter. If he does, like if he want to trade, let him trade. But
It was
anyway,
an unfair trade. I'm not doing unfair trades in the league.
But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We, as usual, appreciate all the conversation and feedback. We hope you'll continue to join the conversation with us every week. If no one told you this week that they love you, just know that we do. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Peace out.